evening, it's Obade Dayo here at the Apataki Theater, episode number 10. And today I'm with my goddaughter Tamika.
Hello.
She's in preparation to make a move or an advancement soon in the tradition. So she's here in the temple on the regular, coming to get these jewels. Today we're going to talk about you are what you eat, right? And you know, this is a very paradoxical conversation because I just eat whatever I want to eat, right?
Yeah.
And so I ain't really into all that healthy eating shit. I could care less. But my organic diet comes from the Ocha food.
Okay.
So you supposed to. We're gonna edit that out. Don't worry, that ain't gonna say. So I get my organic diet by way of the Ocha food, right? A lot of Santeros don't eat it, but actually it's really a good part of your diet because it is organic food and it is the communion between the Orisha in ingesting the blood and us ingesting the meat. And so we during the Ocha, all of the animals that are sacrificed, we eat it on the next day, right? And the Yahweh's gonna eat it for as many days as possible. You know, today's, you know, people will be going to get the Yahweh McDonald's and shit like that, but whatever. But the idea that we eat organically through the tradition based on the fact that we indulge in the meat, yes, right? We have herbal elixirs because the Yahweh's going to drink an herbal elixir every morning, which is a combination of palm oil, rum, and water, and herbs. They're going to drink this concoction to clean them out. And then you have what they call is the fruit, the fruit after the market. So now all of the orishas are refreshed by giving them fruit. Now, the fruit, so now the idea is, the alchemic idea is that the orisha have been charged up magnetically by way of the blood, okay? And so now the orishas are emanating a certain frequency or a certain magnetism. Now we cover them in fruits and vegetables so that they charge those fruits up and then we consume them. Right? Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that this apple has been ionized because it's been sitting on top of Chango, and Chango is emanating a magnetic force based on the blood that he has consumed in the ritual. So the food we intrinsically practice a healthy diet, right? When you look at the people of West Africa, their main diet is of starch, right? The meat is a luxury. It's not all the time. That is an American concept of consuming much meat, beef, chicken, turkey.
Of course.
Right. So, you are what you eat. And these fruits that we give to the Orisha are not just given to them based on a color code.
Right.
Okay. So, for instance, let's take, so now, well, before we even get into that, let's first talk about the gender of fruit, right? This is, you know, this was, I was educated by O'Neil Soon, right? Okay. I wasn't aware of the gender of the fruit. Now, this is a conversation that I essentially started in Cuba when my grandma was explaining to me, oh, planta no hembra, female plant. And I was like, female plant? What are you talking about? She was like, there's a difference. And I'm like, yeah, I seen the fat ones. She's like, those are female. And the long ones are male. Right? So, because the females are robust, those are the plantains and the bananas that have seeds in them.
Wow.
Okay? Those are the ones that germinate. Now, the plantain, the banana, is high in potassium. Potassium gets the blood heated up. This is a Shango concept. This is why Shango indulges in eating bananas and banana peels, right? Okay. We look at Oshun, we appropriate Oshun with oranges, right? Oranges, peaches, right? Now oranges come male and female. Okay? Some oranges don't produce seeds, other oranges do. So now, we look at the orange, and orange juice is a stimulant to our endorphins. Absolutely. Okay. So when young people partake in taking MDMA and ecstasy, they accentuate the high by drinking orange juice, right? Yeah. So orange juice is a natural aphrodisiac. What is Oshun about? Oshun is about copulation and the attraction and the courting process. So each one of the fruits is assigned to the Orisha based on the properties of the fruit and its association to the behavior of the force and of that Orisha. Okay, sugar cane grows by way of water. It sucks the water out of the land. So they usually try to grow sugar cane close to a river or a creek. It's associated with Yemonja and Ogun, right? Mm-hmm. The idea is sugar comes from the concept of Ogun. Sugar, that's why sugar was one of those things that it became a viable commodity in the world, right? It's one of the ingredients that we present on the plates in the naming ceremony for children. In the Yoruba naming ceremony, you put sugar there too, because sugar as a property is sweet, right? But it can become detrimental, right? It can rot your teeth out. And so sugar teaches us about limits, right? It teaches one of the first things about limits because it's one of the first desires. So before children are able to express sexual desires, their desires are based on their stomach, right? And so when you get into the stomach, in Ocha, one of the most very important parts of the goat that we dissect is the membrane of the stomach. The membrane that holds the stomach, the large and small intestines, the liver. That membrane is a commodity within the ritual. And so when you understand that the stomach is a brain, because it's covered in a membrane. Right. Okay. And so the stomach thinks.
So like women have the solar plexus.
Absolutely. Okay. This is why, so in the we were having a conversation, I was talking about this in the live the other day, about women being natural alchemists, because a woman's body will require certain minerals, right? And these be like these real obscure minerals that may be withheld in certain foods. So this is why she's like, I want ice cream and pickles. Because the ice cream and the pickles is going to create some sort of reaction in her stomach that's going to create a property that the body needs to produce in order to nurture the child within the womb, right? And the body does this subconsciously, so that she doesn't consciously know that, oh, if I put ice cream together and this, it's going to create a phosphorus in my stomach. She doesn't have that logical information or understanding, but her biological understanding says, I need these things. And so the body already understands that these things are within certain products that we eat. Mm-hmm. So when we were talking in the live about cravings, mm-hmm. when you have this craving, oh, I crave to eat this, it is the body alerting us that we need certain minerals. Right. Now, the body is directly connected to your ancestors.
Through the DNA?
Through the DNA. Through the DNA. Now, in Yoruba and Orisha philosophy or mythology, mm-hmm. it is said that Obatala and Oduduwa descended on earth off of a chain, a golden chain. Mm-hmm. And this chain is referred to the double helix that we see in the DNA. Okay. And that Ogun created the chain, but it was too short. And so this is why Obatala had to pour the sand out for the mountain to come for him to ascend upon, to descend upon. So we're talking about inside your DNA, your ancestors live. So the concept of, if I plant a seed for a tree, I may never live to sit under its shade. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't stop me from planting the seed. Because it's for the future, so that they may necessarily sit under that shade. Mm-hmm. Right? But I only think like that if I know that I'm coming back through my DNA as my children begin to procreate. It's funny, I was watching a debate, or what seemed to be a debate with some people, and they were having a discussion about homosexuality and sexuality. And if I believe in God, I have to believe in homosexuality not as something that I necessarily practice and agree with, but I understand that in God's perfect plan, there got to be some people who just not going to procreate. They're just not going to procreate. But yet and still being here on this earth, on this magnetic ball, they are still compelled to copulate. Okay. So now, these people are just here to regulate the amount of people that the world produces, because right now we're at an overpopulated perspective. Now, some may say that this is something that has been inserted into the society to do such things. But again, I have to believe and know that God is in all things. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So, your DNA may tell you that this is the end of the road, which is very interesting because in Odu they speak about that. There's certain Odus that talk about this. You are the end of your bloodline. You will not produce any more sons. There will be no more after you. That you are the crescendo of this bloodline. Okay? Mm-hmm. And so that's all in the plan of the DNA. The DNA has made the decision because the DNA is ultimately what influences your biological shell. Right? So the ancestors and the DNA are intrinsically necessarily tied together. Okay? Which goes into why they do a braid in the misa. So you ever see the ladies and they got the braid around with the different colors, right? So the braid is essentially that double helix. And then praying in it. and putting the colors in, and the colors are representing the different spirits that the person has, right? And so they're putting them in there and they're intertwining them so that when they put that braid around you, all of the intentional energy is locked into the braid. And so it comes in and it kind of ties you so that nothing else can jump in your body.
Right, because that's the purpose, right.
Okay? So this chain back to this DNA and the ancestors. So it is a sacred symbol to them, the interlocking of things. This is why you see the serpents interlocking in the Acadius staff, right? Because it's the interlocking of the DNA. So this is what the serpents do. This is what the string theories do, right? And so all of the matter entangles itself, okay? And so the food you eat is based on how you will feel emotionally, right? So, if anybody's ever heard me talk about a witch, so the Western world says, what are the icons of a Western world witch?
You got the pot, the broom, the spoon.
Exactly. So now, these are all domestic symbols. They assert that a woman is in control of the society based on what she feeds the men. Right? So, if she decides that she wants to have a baby and he is none the wiser, she may necessarily cook a food that is an aphrodisiac.